Welcome to a very special Here Comes the Boom from the new house. We got a new office here. We're talking all things Kentucky basketball recruiting. Here Comes the Boom, a KSR Plus recruiting podcast. We're going to be talking about Kentucky's efforts in the transfer portal. They're not done yet. And then we'll be talking about some of their 2026 and 2027 names. So let's start by talking about the big name in the transfer portal that Kentucky's still going after. Divine Ugochukwu from Miami. He's going to be a sophomore next season. Played his first year at Miami. He was a guy that really wasn't supposed to play very much heading into the season, but when Nigel Pack went down with injury, he stepped up in a role. And I talked to the Miami On3 reporter, Isby Charles, and he said that Divine was better than guys that came in as 4- and 5-star recruits. Jaleel Bethea, who was a 5-star guy that Kentucky was looking at. Divine was even better than him, and Divine was a guy that they were talking about redshirting as a freshman. He came in, he stepped up, and really improved his stock, and that's why Kentucky is now in the mix. We'll see how serious it gets there, but he's really the one remaining portal target left on the board. We could see some more pop up, but right now he's the candidate for that backup point guard position. All right, we've got the transfer portal update out of the way, but now we got to talk about 2026 recruiting because it has been nonstop for Kentucky since last week, beginning of last week. They went out and talked to tons of players in this 2026 class. Let's just go through the list and talk about who they went in and checked on, starting with last Tuesday. They looked at Anthony Thompson, Caleb Holt, and then a pair of 2027 recruits, Ryan Hampton and Marcus Spears Jr. They're all 5-star guys that Kentucky is in on. Kentucky then went out and talked to Tay Kinney, Austin Gooseby. That was how they wrapped up last week. And then they really picked it up this past week. So Monday, they went and saw Mika Murinen, who I talked to. He's not going to be playing AAU this summer, but he's looking to maybe plan a potential official visit to Kentucky. So that's a name to watch. You got Austin Gooseby. You got Ikenna Alozie, who is also looking to plan an official visit for the fall. Those were the two guys that they visited on Monday, Mika and Alozie. And then Tuesday was a packed day. Christian Collins, who received an offer from Kentucky during the visit on Tuesday. He also picked up an offer from Duke. You got Taj Ariza, who's now his high school teammate over at St. John Bosco. They're also playing with number 2 ranked Brandon McCoy. Ariza is a guy who's had an offer for a while. I talked to him. He didn't sound like he was going to be planning a visit to Kentucky soon, but that could happen later in the future. Tony Bryant, a new name popping up, a 6'9" forward out of Tampa, Florida, number 13 overall in the class. So really one of the top players who's maybe gone a little bit under the radar. And then you got some Texas guys with Christian Gibson and Billy White. And then you got a 2027 in Reese Alston, who is the son of Rafer Alston, former NBA point guard. So Gibson and White, they were visited by Mikhail McLean, Kentucky assistant coach. So you can find interviews with both Christian and Billy over on KSR Plus. But the main point of all of this to say is that the Kentucky staff is getting to work in 2026. Things have kind of moved slowly because they've been focused on the portal. They have no 2026 commitments locked up yet, but that's probably going to change soon because they are talking to a ton of these guys, looking to get some guys on campus soon, maybe after the live period coming up. And then we'll see who ends up being their first recruit. But we talked about 26. Let's talk a little bit about 27 because they're already in on a number of 2027 prospects, nowhere near the efforts that they're doing in 2026, but there are some early names to watch. The first two being Baba Oladotun out of Maryland and Obinna Kezi Jr. Out of Prolific Prep in Napa. Those are the two offers they have. Kezi is a 6'11" center. He actually is from Nigeria, moved to Louisville, Kentucky when he first got to the United States and is now playing high school basketball at Prolific Prep in Napa, California. And Baba is, I believe, top 3 player in the class. He was the first player in the 2027 class to receive an offer from Kentucky. And you can find an interview with his dad over on KSR Plus. They're not expecting any coaches to come in and visit them because coaches can't really reach out to him officially until June 15th, so they have to go through parents and things like that. Those are the two offers they have, but some other names to watch. Ryan Hampton and Marcus Spears Jr. mentioned them earlier. They're both playing at Dynamic Prep. Alvin Brooks was in to see both of them last week. Hampton is the younger brother of RJ Hampton, who played professionally. I think he's still maybe playing professional. And you got Marcus Spears Jr., who is the son of former NFL player Marcus Spears Sr. So those guys, it's very early with 2027s, but those are two guys that they went out and visited very recently. Some other names, you got Jalen Mitchell, who's the only player in the 2027 class to take an unofficial visit to Kentucky. He visited last fall. Kentucky hasn't been in to see him. They haven't really been holding open gyms, so they haven't been able to see him play recently, but they'll see him play over on the AAU circuits. The last 2027 I want to mention, I mentioned him earlier, Reese Alston, son of Rafer Alston. He was visited by Coach Mark Fox and Mikhail McLean, and he's one of the best point guards in the class. He's the number 11th ranked point guard, but on three is higher than the industry, having him 18th overall in the class. So those are some 2027 names to watch. The list is only going to grow, I'm sure, as coaches are out on these AAU circuits, seeing guys play, but those are the early names to watch for 2027. Now the final thought, I'm going to wrap it up by just saying Kentucky is going to work on the recruiting trail. We didn't really talk a lot about high school recruiting for a little bit of this spring because it was so transfer portal focused. And we mentioned Divine Ugochukwu. He is a name to watch. But it really does seem like Kentucky has shifted most of their efforts into 2026 and 2027 recruiting. Me and Jack Pilgrim over at KSR are going to be in Memphis later this month for a live session over at the EYBL. We're going to be talking to players there, and we're going to come back with plenty of updates. For now, thank you for joining us. Be sure to go and subscribe to KSR Plus, subscribe to the KSR YouTube channel, and we'll see you again soon.